Our KREM 2 Verify team is working to keep your home, money, and other valuables safe.
Scammers will use whatever personal information they can find.
In the next half hour, our Verify team takes a closer look at what you need to know about wildfires and recovery in the inland Northwest.
Is Medical Lake safe to use this summer for people?
Plus, the reason you're paying more for car insurance.
We saw a notable spike last year.
And it's the $60 billion problem.
Hi, this is Casey. I'm a Medicare advisor calling on a recorded line.
What you can do to protect yourself or loved ones from Medicare fraud. All this and more on this KREM 2 News Verify Special.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Our KREM 2 Verify team is always working to answer your questions. To get you the correct information, we rely upon trusted sources to help separate what is true and what is false. So let's verify. And we start by talking about some of the impacts of wildfires here in the inland Northwest. In the summer of 2023, the historic Gray Fire tore through the community of Medical Lake. It torched thousands of acres, destroyed dozens of homes, and claimed one life. But several viewers have reached out to ask about the fire's impact on the lake itself and whether it remains healthy to swim and recreate in. So I set out to get some answers.
9 months after the Gray Fire tore through Medical Lake, burning thousands of acres, destroying 259 structures and tens of thousands of trees, the chaos has given way to a certain calmness, the pain turning to pride.
We think we're the crown jewel of Spokane County, actually.
Mayor Terry Cooper is quick to point out the progress made in the rebuilding process.
55 total losses in Medical Lake. We had about that many more damage, but 55 total losses. So we have 40 of those that have walls standing right now, which is incredible. We're not even at a year.
But what about the lake itself? Several viewers have reached out to our Verify team to ask if the water is safe to swim and recreate in following the firefighting efforts. They question if things like fire retardant, debris, or runoff have polluted the water. We took those questions to Chad Pritchard, a geology professor at Eastern Washington University who also serves on city council, the city's wastewater director, Steve Cooper, and to the mayor.
Is Medical Lake safe to use this summer for people?
It is. It is safe to use.
The mayor says her confidence is based on regular testing for things like oxygen and pH levels, total phosphorus, nitrogen, and water temperature. Steve Cooper says the results have consistently shown the lake is healthy and safe.
One of the things that we were concerned about was stormwater getting, from the houses that were on fire getting washed into the storm drains and coming down to the lake. So that was on our monitoring list, and fortunately that never happened.
So if someone came to you and asked you, hey, is the lake safe to use this summer following the wildfires from last summer, what would you tell them?
I would tell them absolutely. It's a great place to swim.
As luck would have it, city officials took a water sample from the lake the day before the Gray Fire started, allowing them to compare those results to samples following the fire.
And so we were able to sample the lake after the fire and before the fire, and that PFAS for the fire retardant, flame retardant, was exactly the same. So they poured phosphate around the lake, and we do see a slight impact in phosphorus in the lake, but it's still well below any levels that you'd be concerned about.
Safe to recreate in.
Oh, of course.
So we can verify Medical Lake is safe and healthy following the Gray Fire. One less thing to worry about as the community rebuilds and recovers from the historic wildfire.
In the past few years, hundreds of homes in the inland Northwest have been destroyed in wildfires, and we have heard from many homeowners who want to know if homeowners insurance will cover wildfire damage. Here's what I found out.
Several viewers have reached out to ask if homeowners insurance covers any damage from wildfires. To verify this question, we went to the nonprofit Northwest Insurance Council and David Fort, the senior policy advisor with the Office of Insurance Commissioner for Washington State. According to Fort, in Washington, wildfires are treated the same as any other type of fire that a homeowner may experience, like a kitchen or electrical fire. But what if the wildfire is human-caused or caused by lightning? Fort says there's no difference.
Fire's fire, but the thing with wildfire is that it's always covered under any homeowner's policy.
Landscaping is also covered under your homeowner's insurance. This includes any trees, plants, shrubs, or lawns that may have been destroyed. That, according to the Northwest Insurance Council. And if you're forced to evacuate your home, the NWIC says any additional living expenses are covered. They recommend keeping records of your expenses. So we can verify, yes, damaged or destroyed homes from wildfires are covered under standard homeowners insurance, even if the wildfire is human-caused.
If you run into any problems with your insurance companies, Fort says to contact the Office of the Insurance Commissioner. You can call them at 1-800-562-6900. FEMA often offers assistance to people affected by natural disasters like wildfires, but online, people are spreading some false information about what it means to accept help from the government. Brandon Lewis from our National Verify team shows us what's actually true.
Some social media posts warn people shouldn't accept help from FEMA because they claim the government will seize their land and give it to big developers. So let's verify. Can FEMA seize your property if you accept disaster assistance? Our sources are FEMA, the Stafford Act, the Owners Council of America, and Texas property law firm Dawson & Sod. All of the posts are a little different, but some of them say the Stafford Act allows FEMA to do this. The Stafford Act is a law that allows the president to make a disaster declaration and designates FEMA to coordinate assistance. The Stafford Act says FEMA can temporarily take possession of properties to prepare for an emergency, but it must give them back. FEMA can also provide money to state and local governments to permanently buy flood-prone properties, but only if owners voluntarily agree to sell, and if the government agrees to forever maintain the land as open space, meaning it can't turn around and sell to a developer. A FEMA page explains applying for disaster assistance does not grant the government ownership and outlines the process recipients can really expect. So, no, FEMA cannot seize your property if you accept disaster assistance. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Still ahead, if you've renewed your car insurance recently, you have likely noticed that prices are going up.
We keep getting a lot of viewer emails asking what is driving up insurance rates.
Up next, we reveal the two main reasons we're all paying more for car insurance. Plus, we see it all the time in Spokane, but is it legal to park on the wrong side of the road? If you have a story you'd like us to verify, you can email us at verify@krem.com. Welcome back to our KREM 2 News Verify special, where we help get answers to your questions from trusted, verified sources. Now, if you own a car, you have likely noticed the increase. Insurance rates have been climbing in recent months, so what is driving prices up and when will things level off? I set out to verify. Groceries, gas, housing, and now car insurance. Rates in Washington and around the country have been climbing. A KREM 2 viewer recently reached out to our Verify team writing, "My auto insurance jumped $62 in 1 month. We received our auto renewal and our insurance went up from $187 to $249 in 1 month. Our driving records are clean." To verify what's happening with insurance rates, we went to the Washington office of the Insurance Commissioner, the Washington Department of Transportation, and Kelley Blue Book.
We keep getting a lot of viewer emails asking what is driving up insurance rates, especially lately.
Yeah, they have gone up. We saw a notable spike last year.
That's Aaron Van Tile, the communications manager for the Office of Insurance Commissioner. He says there are two main factors driving up rates. The first, an increase of severe car crashes in Washington starting in around 2020.
Over that 3-year stretch, auto accidents that were occurring just got to be more severe, higher damage to the cars, more people injured. And of course, that impacted the cost of claims that insurance companies had to pay out.
Data from the Washington Department of Transportation shows the number of serious injury crashes climbed from 1,936 in 2019 to 2,875 in 2023, a whopping 48% increase. The second factor driving up rates?
The other one we've seen has been, it's a little simpler, but it's just the cost of cars went up.
According to Kelley Blue Book, the average price of a used car climbed more than $9,000 from 2019 to 2023, an increase of 43%. During that same time, the average price for a new car increased almost $11,000, or 28%. It's data Van Tile says insurers show the state as justification for raising rates.
In order for a company to request the change and get that change approved by our office, they have to provide financial statements over, recent history that show how it's justified and how it is, how it's in accordance with the law and things like that.
So we can verify that yes, auto insurance rates have increased in the state of Washington based on factors like the soaring cost of cars and a marked increase in serious crashes.
A new law recently took effect called the Premium Change Transparency Rule. It means that if you ask your insurer why your rates have gone up, they'll be required to tell you why. And in June of 2027, anytime your rate goes up 10%, your company will have to notify you in writing to explain why that is happening. Sticking with cars, several of you have reached out to the KREM 2 Verify team to clear up some confusion in Spokane City Code. Driving down Spokane streets, it's not uncommon to see cars parked on the wrong side of the road. It may be convenient, but is it legal? Let's take a look.
Parking in some Spokane neighborhoods can be tough, so you might be tempted to grab the first spot you see regardless of which direction you are heading. But there are rules when it comes to parking. Our Verify question comes from Russell, who writes, I notice a lot of people parking backwards on streets here in Spokane. Is this even legal? Let's verify. Our sources are Washington State Code on the rules of the road, the City of Spokane, and the Spokane Police Department. Washington State Code states every vehicle stopped or parked upon a two-way roadway shall be stopped or parked with the right-hand wheels parallel to the right-hand curb or edge of the roadway. This means cars must be parked with the flow of traffic. We checked with the City of Spokane to verify there were no local exceptions, and it turns out Spokane Municipal Code is even more clear, stating, no person shall stop, stand, or park a vehicle upon a public right-of-way other than with the direction of authorized traffic movement. So we can verify, no, it's not legal to park against the flow of traffic in Spokane. However, when it comes to enforcement, Spokane Police Sergeant Teresa Fuller tells Verify officers are not actively looking for or ticketing vehicles for parking on the wrong side of the street. She said city parking enforcement would be more likely to ticket for this, and drivers caught parking the wrong way could face a $45 fine. If you have any questions you'd like verified, let me know. Just email verify@krem.com. Up next, scammers are targeting Medicare recipients right here in the Inland Northwest.
It tends to be very convincing.
What you need to know to make sure your private information stays safe. Plus,
in general, stores do have a lot of flexibility on what their return policies are.
Can a store refuse your return because you don't have a receipt? We verified just ahead.
Thanks for joining us for a KREM 2 News Verify special. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Medicare fraud is a $60 billion a year problem, and it's only getting worse. Fraudsters are targeting seniors, trying to get them to turn over their personal information. Dozens of viewers have reached out to our Verify team with questions about Medicare fraud, and in many cases, it all starts with a simple phone call.
This is Shelley in a Medicare Enrollment Center on a recorded line, and I see here in the past you inquired about your Medicare supplement coverage. Can you hear me okay?
It's a call like that one that led a KREM 2 viewer to reach out to our Verify team. They write, getting calls from a 206 number stating they need to update my Medicare card. When I said no, they hung up. I've never heard that Medicare will update the card. Is this a scam? Let's verify. Our sources are Medicare, the Senior Medicare Patrol with the Washington State Office of the Insurance Commissioner, and the FCC.
Medicare will not call and ask you for your more information. They will not solicit you for anything or ask you for any money.
Kim McKenna is a senior Medicare patrol coordinator for Washington State. She says calls asking about your Medicare card should not be trusted.
Medicare changed their cards in 2018. They went from what used to be Social Security numbers on the cards to a random series of numbers and letters. And they do not have any plans to change their cards again.
That means no special cards and no extra benefits.
Medicare will not be sending out any new cards or designing new cards. There are no cards with chips. There are no plastic special cards that come with extra benefits. And Medicare will never call and ask for your personal identifiable information.
Scammers, however, can be very convincing, and Kim says social media is making it easier for them to trick people.
We all are very tapped into social media these days. And so scammers will use whatever personal information they can find. It could be your full name, it could be an address, it could be your date of birth. And they'll call and they'll say, this is Medicare. And they will have enough personal information of yours to sound like they are an authority, like they know you and they have a record on you.
Here are a few tips from Medicare to avoid fraud. First, protect your Medicare number and your Social Security number. Guard your Medicare card like it's a credit card. Don't accept offers that promise money or gifts for free medical care. And don't join a Medicare health or drug plan over the phone unless you initiate the call with Medicare. Also, just because the call looks like it's local, that doesn't mean it is. The FCC warns that scammers may spoof a number so that it appears like the call is coming from a government agency or a health provider.
If somebody receives a call from supposedly Medicare, they need to just hang up. Scammers will use that information to then mine more information.
So we can verify, yes, any call asking you to update or renew your Medicare card is a scam. And now that you know, the next time you hear this,
hi, this is Casey. I'm a Medicare advisor calling on a recorded line. How are you today?
just go ahead and hang up the phone.
Remember, you don't need to answer every call. Just because somebody is calling you doesn't mean they know you, and it doesn't mean that they have good intent.
If you suspect fraud, you can report it to the Senior Medicare Patrol. In Washington, that number is 1-800-562-6900. If you live in Idaho, you can call 208-736-2122. From birthdays to holidays, hundreds of billions of dollars in gift cards are purchased every year. We heard from one viewer who reached out after noticing an unfamiliar tax on his gift card purchase. So are gift cards taxed at the time you buy them? Let's verify.
When does a gift card have to pay sales tax? Because I bought a Roblox card for my grandson.
After buying the gift card for Christmas, Mike Britton noticed a $4.05 tax collected from the purchase. That raised some questions.
I don't recall paying sales tax on gift cards in stores.
So Mike reached out to the KREM to Verify team for some answers. Our sources are the Washington State Department of Revenue and Amazon. According to the Department of Revenue, general gift cards are not subject to sales tax at the time of purchase since the card is not for a specific item or service. Taxes would only be collected when the gift card is used. In Mike's case, he purchased a gift card for Roblox, an online video game, so it falls under a Washington state law. The Department of Revenue tells us, quote, sellers would collect the sales tax. For instance, sales of access to online games or items within the game that are subject to sales tax. Amazon determines the sales taxes based only on the state where the purchase was made. Mike, as a Spokane County resident, would be under Washington law. Amazon lists the following items as some that could be subject to taxes. These include music, electronic books, online games, along with in-game purchases. This question needs context. Generally, gift cards are not taxed at the time of purchase, but the digital gift cards for in-app purchases or in-game currency are taxed when you buy them.
Whether it's gift cards or something else, if you have paid attention at checkout recently, you probably noticed there are more options when it comes to getting a receipt. Printed, emailed, or you can skip it altogether. It was that final choice that led Carl to reach out to our Verify team.
This gentleman says he selected no receipt, but he then later wanted to return an item and he wasn't able to because he didn't have a receipt. I'm curious, where does Washington law stand when it comes to situations like that?
Yeah, so first, I always have to be a little careful because when it comes to law, we have to keep it a relatively general. Specific facts can change things, number one. Number two, in general, stores do have a lot of flexibility on what their return policies are. They can even say, hey, you've got to have the original packaging, for example, or you have to have a receipt. In general, that is true.
The Washington State Attorney General's website makes it clear, apart from a few specific cases such as telemarketing or door-to-door sales, quote, no law requires sellers to accept items for refund, exchange, or credit unless merchandise is defective or misrepresented. That's why Attorney General Bob Ferguson says it is important to do some research before you make a big purchase.
So we always encourage folks to do some work up front to find out what the return policy is.
And while a receipt is no guarantee when it comes to making a return,
getting a receipt is certainly something that I do, and I would encourage consumers to do as well, just as a backup, just in case.
So we can verify, yes, a store may be able to refuse some returns without a receipt, but it needs to make that clear in its return policy. So what can you do if you want to make a return but don't have a receipt?
I would encourage the individual, if they used a credit card, they could maybe show their credit card as well, it's not a receipt, evidence of the purchase, and to give it a try. Because look, most stores, I think, want to work with their customers, right? They don't want to have a reputation of being inflexible.
If you are still having trouble with the return, you can reach out to your state's consumer protection team. Both Washington and Idaho have those units, which help return millions of dollars to consumers each year. In Washington, call 1-800-551-4636. In Idaho, that number is 1-800-432-3545.
Well, the homeowner should always know what their duties are after the loss.
Water damage is expensive. Still ahead, we'll explain what could be the difference between your insurance paying for repairs and you getting stuck with the bill.
Thank you for watching this KREM 2 News Verify special. When it comes to owning a home, repairs can be costly, and that's especially true when it comes to water damage. Even if you have insurance, you may be wondering who has to pay. Let's verify.
To get the answer, we went straight to David Fort with the Washington State Office of the Insurance Commissioner.
Residential and commercial insurance policies cover sudden and accidental discharge of water from a plumbing source.
According to Fort, coverage from a sudden burst pipe could include pipe repairs, fixing any damage to your walls, drying out your carpets, and even temporary housing if the damage is bad enough.
As soon as the water stopped and it's stabilized, call the insurance company. Don't begin any repairs yet until you've notified the insurance company and allowed them the opportunity to look at the damage themselves so they can investigate.
But what if you aren't sure if there's a problem?
Have them inspected.
If you wait too long, Fort says you may be on the hook for the bill.
Okay, turn it off.
If you uncover damage weeks, months, years later, and that damage, that small leak, seepage, is causing mold or dry rot, it is not going to be covered under your property policy. Property policies don't cover this type of slow over time damage.
So we can verify, yes, homeowners insurance will cover burst pipes, but only if the damage is reported as soon as possible.
Thank you for joining us for this KREM 2 News Verify special. If you have something you would like verified, email me at verify@krem.com. And you can stay up to date with all our Verify stories on KREM 2 Plus. If you don't have it yet, KREM 2 Plus is free to download. It's available right now on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. I'm Mark Hanrahan with the KREM 2 Verify team. Thank you for watching.